Well, welcome everyone. We will get started in just a couple of minutes. We do try to let people trickle in because most people haven't actually uh, gotten logged in at time. And so we usually give it a couple of minutes. So welcome. I'd love to know, since we have several people joining us today, I'd love to know where you are all coming from.
Where are you from and how's the weather?
Hot here. Oh my goodness. It's like summer already. This is ridiculous. It's 80 degrees in Central Texas. I think it's higher than that right now. No, 90. I'm sorry. We're 90 degrees in Central Texas.
Really? Wow, y'all have
Yeah.
too much concrete there in
No,
Austin. That's what's killing y'all.
it's just perpetual summer here.
Ottawa, Ottawa,
Oh, nice.
Texas, Ottawa,
I don't
Texas,
think
or
so. I think Ottawa, like Canada, like cold. I love it. Look at that. We're international.
Canada, like tariffs. It's already gone there. It's 7:02, and we already went there.
It's like the Canadians are paying a tariff right now.
The
They're doing like
Canadians are pissed,
right.
right?
They're like,
Oh my goodness. That should be another topic for another day. We should
I
do
guess
a
so.
how are tariffs impacting dentistry.
I don't even know. I don't know.
America's addict, isn't that what we call it, right? Canada.
No comments.
Kevin's gonna hang up. I know. Sorry, Kevin. Just a joke. Just a joke. Just a joke.
Hey, I finally got a package in that I had ordered from a small business in Canada a couple weeks ago. I didn't realize just how long it takes to get through customs. And I'm like, it's chapstick. I ordered chapstick. Because since we're talking about marketing and driving patient growth and whatnot, apparently my algorithm likes to show me people making things like soaps and chapsticks and or lip balm or whatever it is. And so there was one I've been watching for several months, and I'm like, you know what? Let me actually support them and not just watch their
Yeah.
content. I'm gonna buy something. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it takes that long to get from wherever they're at in Canada to Central Texas.
Hey, Emily Letran. I gotta know who Jamie McWhorter is when in all caps. I love that. I love when people show up in all caps. There's a statement there. It's a person
All
that's
right. We are at three after, and we've got about almost 30 people joining us. We love that. Well, welcome. I am Kara Kelly. I have been helping the Dental Science Alliance host this webinar series for the past several months. We wanted to do something that would add value, that would help you get to know more about what we do and meet some of our coaches, and then just give out some information. That's what we're all about here: is abundant generosity and sharing that information and helping dentists succeed in their practices, regardless of where they're at. So I'm super excited tonight about our guest speaker, but before we bring him on, I want to spotlight real quick Dr. Charles Moser, one of the co-founders of the Dental Science Alliance, so he can share just a little bit more about what we do and why we're all here.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, if you are a coach on this call for the Dental Science Alliance, please recognize yourself in the chat by telling us who you are and what your specialty is, what you are coaching on inside of the Dental Science Alliance. So let everybody know. We'd love to give you a big shout out. I know there's a few of y'all. Caitlin's in there already. Emily's in there already. I'm not sure if Brad is here or
Heather's in
Tarek
there.
yet. Yep. Well, go
Heather's
ahead
there.
and put that in the chat. Let me tell you just a little bit about the Dental Science Alliance before Kara takes over with Amol. And oh my God, I I feel like I need to introduce both of y'all. But Kara, thank you so much for doing what you do for our members in the Dental Science Alliance. Kara's specialty is HR, and we're delighted to have her. And Amol, I can't thank him enough. Amal, I already told him he is 2 inches shorter from me, standing on his shoulders and being on his back because he has carried me for years. And I just appreciate him as a friend and a colleague and a mentor. So, the Dental Science Alliance, what are we? Well, we are a dental specific coaching platform that allows you, the dentist, to schedule 5 calls per month with our over 20 different coaches who are all experts in their own individual lanes. You, as the dentist, schedule the calls at your convenience. Your team can use the calls. You can have multiple people on the calls. Everything is virtual and everything is on your time frame. The Dental Science Alliance is your training partner in leadership, software, insurance, case acceptance, supplies, HR, legal, accounting, and so much more. We will hold you highly accountable. We will create plans that are actionable. and we are affordable at only $600 a month. If you are a dentist out there and you would like a link about how to sign up for a complimentary coaching call to learn more about what we do, please just shoot me a message in the chat and I'd be happy to give you that link. So, Kara, thank you so much. Take it away.
Thank you. Well, I am just going to jump right in and introduce our guest speaker tonight. Between leading a groundbreaking AI company, advising hundreds of healthcare businesses, and traveling the country with his piano prodigy daughter, today's speaker thrives at the intersection of innovation, impact, and inspiration. He is a CPA turned entrepreneur, author, and dental industry strategist. He has spent over 2 decades helping practices unlock their full potential. As the co-founder and CEO of Patient Prism, he is at the forefront of using AI to turn missed opportunities into measurable success. Please join me in welcoming AI trailblazer and dental growth expert, Amol Nirgudkar. Amol, take it away.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Charles. It's been a pleasure knowing you for the last 8 years. And it's so nice to see this Dental Science Alliance take a foot because there is actually a need to bring it all together. Sometimes what happens is in dentistry, we're trying to solve one thing and thinking that that's the one reason why we're not growing or why we're not retaining people or whatever that might be. The approach that Dental Science Alliance brings is a team approach, which is super needed because there's no one silver bullet for anything in life, let alone how to run a successful dental practice. So congratulations to the entire team here for building something that is the need of the hour for dental practices to really navigate where we are today as an industry, right? We have been in since the pandemic, the industry has changed. We are seeing a lot less people in this industry. There's a lot of hygienists that have retired. There is a tremendous shortage of clinicians on all fronts. There is a turnover crisis. We've got 50% of staff turnover is happening at the front offices. And in the midst of that, we are obviously dealing with all sorts of geopolitical issues that are going on with our world, economic issues that are going on with our world. And then all of a sudden, 2 years and 3 months ago, OpenAI launches ChatGPT, and all of a sudden AI becomes a kitchen table conversation, right? When I started my AI business 10 years ago, I asked my co-founder, hey, could we teach Alexa how to understand dentistry? And at the time, despite my Indian heritage, I had never programmed. I had never been an engineer. I was kind of a lowly CPA. And I didn't know anything about AI at the time, but I just asked the question. And what I was trying to solve at the time, and I'm going to start sharing a slide deck, but I wanted to talk to you guys because I think the journey matters. And I wanted to find out why patients were not scheduling appointments, right? And at the time, my hypothesis was, and this was not my hypothesis, people like Fred Joyal and DeMiles, all these legendary folks in the business had said, the telephone might be the most important instrument in your office, not the handpiece, but the telephone. And that intrigued me at the time. I'm like, man, if that's important, what if we could teach AI to understand these conversations that are happening between dental practices and patients and understand why patients don't move forward in their journey to, choose the dentist and then get the treatment and move forward. Because at the end of the day, if the patient doesn't come in to our offices, all the things we're doing is meaningless. So I launched Patient Prism in 2015. All the gray hair you see on my head is from artificial intelligence. It's given me tons of fulfillment and tons of stress, and I deal with it every day. I love it. I love every moment of it. This industry has been very kind to me, and all my friends are in this industry, and it's been very fulfilling. So what I'm going to talk about today is what does it mean to grow our dental practice in 2025 and beyond in the age of the fourth industrial revolution that is upon us. We have no choice, right? Just like John Stewart said in a few months ago it took society about 20 years to get used to automation in internet, right? Maybe 10 years to get internet. It took us 5 years to get used to social media. That's how long it took. But AI, when is AI coming and hitting us? It's coming next Thursday. Today's Thursday. So AI is coming next Thursday. So we don't have time, right, to dilly-dally and say, I'm going to put my head in the sand and say, well, I'll see how it goes. Well, you don't have a choice anymore. And I don't mean this in like one of those, Wolf of Wall Street type of fear-mongering things, but I think I'm very optimistic. Not I think, I am very optimistic about how AI can grow dental practices. And so my hypothesis was it was a sales problem. Patients were calling, they were not getting scheduled. What do we do about that? Well, let's have AI listen to the phone calls and let's see if the AI can make a determination of why the patient didn't book. And then if they didn't book, let's tell the dental office what went wrong, let them fix it. That was the hypothesis. And the hypothesis is still true. Over the course of my 10-year period, which was full of turmoil and triumph both, I realized that growth was not just about answering the phone, which is very antithetical to what Patient Prism's journey is, what we're known for. Growth stood at the intersection of marketing, sales, and operations. What that means is that we have to drive the right patients into the funnel. Marketing in the last 10 years, starting with Clear Choice, 20 years ago, marketing has become front and center to attract new patients, right? You cannot say, I don't want any B2C marketing. It is here to stay and it's going to grow, right? And the advent of social media has exacerbated the need to market. So marketing is going to drive it. Sales has to convert it. Now, sales has to convert it on the phone. We also think there is a sales process inside the office. That's why we have treatment coordinators and everybody else, right? We've got to get the patient sold. It's a terrible word in healthcare, but I don't think so. If you read Daniel Pink and to sell is human, you realize that selling is a good thing when it accomplishes something noble. And in dentistry, we're doing everything noble, right? We're getting people to better health. So the sales process has to be really well, and we help with that. And then operationally, we have to be ready to see the patient. We have to have room on the schedule to give them an appointment. We have to take their insurance or not. We have to have a service available. And all these things have to work together. So our mandate over the last, after I built Patient Prism first in 2015, we built it wrong. And then we realized we need to rebuild it. Then we rebuilt it 2017, and then we realized, man, we built it wrong. And then 2020, when we were almost going out of business, and almost all our clients canceled our subscriptions, we realized that we can't just focus on sales. We got to focus on marketing and operations. So what I'm going to show today is a predictable way of growing your dental practice through calibrating marketing, sales, and ops. Now, what the Dental Science Alliance does is actually it helps with operations. It helps with your sales process. It helps with leadership. I don't help with leadership. These guys help with leadership. And none of this matters if you don't have leadership, right? None of it matters, right? The biggest lesson I learned from building a business was it's all a failure without that. So what we do on a daily basis with over 8,000 practices across the country now is we help them understand where the patient is stopping in their journey to become healthier, right? So what the new technology paradigm tells us is this, right? If you are a business today, and if you're a dental practice, don't look at the left side of the screen. The right side of the screen is where what you have to make sure your marketing is accountable. It's driving the right patients in your offices. You have sales training, which means you have to get your team continuously trained on the phone in the office to make sure they're doing a great job at getting the patient to say yes. Part of what we built was this idea of, could you give somebody a second chance to make a first impression? The revenue recovery piece, AI, because AI is able to analyze conversations very quickly, we're able to now send a signal back to the dental office or the call center saying that, hey, go recover this revenue. I'm going to talk how about that. Insight and foresight is my favorite slide. It's coming up. I'm going to show you what that means. Operations enablement. No matter how good your technology is, no matter how many CEREC machines you buy, no matter what technologies you buy, Patient Prism, Pearl, Cone Beam, whatever that might be. If you cannot figure out how to get that in your operations and figure out how the change management process works, technology by itself doesn't drive revenue. So here's my one of my favorite charts. It's been in my slide deck for the last 3 years. Is where we're going from the old world to the new world. And what does the old world mean? In the old world of healthcare and dentistry, we focused on making decisions based on what was contained in our practice management systems, or at best, some visual format of analytics software you use. And what I call those things is descriptive analytics. And they told you what happened. Right? They told you what happened, and that's it, right? And kind of told you when did it happen, right? And that was it. The new world is very interesting, right? The new world, which is AI enabled, allows us to take information, in our case, patient conversations, right? Allows us to convert that information into insight. What does insight mean? Why did something happen? Why, right? And what will happen next? So the inquisitive analytics and predictive analytics is part of insight. AI allows us to do that, right? AI allows us to move from information to insight. But that's not enough. It's not enough to know why did something happen. The next thing to do is, what should we do now? Right? If AI doesn't tell us what to do now and makes a decision, helps us make a decision, then again, that's not AI. That's just some analytics. And then eventually, what we have to go from insight to decision, decision to action. Okay, well, that's great. What should we do now? Then figure out preemptively what should we be doing, right? So that is the evolution. So if you think about AI today, what it means to your dental practice is it's going to take all this data that you have everywhere, on phone calls, in your Dentrix, EagleSoft, Open Dental, Denticon, Curve, whatever that you're using. Take that data and then convert that into insight, allow you to make a decision, and hopefully take an action so that you can drive whatever you're trying to drive, growth, whatever that might be. And that is the power of AI, right? And then this, right? So 2025, I'm purposefully having this slide purple because it's so transformational. And purple is a little transformational. And is that we're leading to a world where in the next year or two, we're going to see agents come into our world, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But we're going to have agents eventually trying to take over some of the tasks that the humans are doing. And so the world of agents is coming. And if you need to learn more about it, you can reach out to me later on. But I want you to remember that this 2025 will be known one day as the year of the agent. Is the year of the AI agent that comes in and does things for you. One day Optimus will come, and then it'll do things around the house, right? But right now we've got agents sitting around in the universe, in the metaverse, that are going to do things for us, that are going to make our jobs easier so that we can spend more time with our patients. So talk about more about agents later on. Let me talk about
Before you talk about that, though, just a quick question. Something you had mentioned earlier, and since you brought up leading like indicators, it made me think of like early adopters versus the bulk of people who typically fall in line versus the last 5% who finally join in. You know, the people who are in the last 5% that eventually get there, whenever we have new technology, it's been something that may be detrimental to them. There's opportunities they leave on the table. How much more exponentially behind will some of those practices be that are not in that early adopter category or in the first part of that bell curve of the people who are following after the early adoption?
The bell curve is a good example. I think the outliers on the left side of the bell curve are gonna be out of business. It's period. And they're gonna be swallowed up by people who are early. But what McKinsey says is this, right? People who are going to be on the front end of the bell curve, on the very end of that right side, the people who are early adopters are going to outgrow all their competition by 20%, which means the opportunity to be an early adopter and have outsized returns is in the next 5 years, right? So that's why it's important to be an early adopter in a technology that's going to completely transform. We're never going to go back, right? We're never going to go back from AI. It's like
right now, what does an early adopter look like? The people who are early adopters, what are they doing right now?
I think the early adopters for sure are implementing computer vision, right? To diagnose and to diagnose disease and pathology, and to actually get the patient say yes to the treatment that is being planned but not accepted. So hands down, even more important than what we do is the computer vision technology that is absolutely going to revolutionize patient trust in dentistry, period. Everybody's going to trust a dentist in 5 years. Right now, only 45% of them do. So great question. Um, Part of what AI does is really provide what we call early warning signals. Because AI has the unprecedented ability to look at data in such depth that we can't even imagine, we can now fix something that we just broke or that's about to break, right? And that's one of the things we talked about at Patient Prism was what can early warning signals do? And I'm going to give two examples of that in within Patient Prism. That's going to tell you like these are the things that we need to do to fix something that's broken in our practice, and let's go fix it now before it's too late, and then we're out of the business, right? So what we focused on was at Patient Prism is we focused on new patient flow because we knew that in order for you to grow double digits, now I'm not going to talk about those people who are in these fancy areas where there's no competition. But overall, if you want to grow your business, you've got to have a new patient flow, at least 15 to 20% of them, 80% are existing. We impact new patient acquisition costs because we really look at marketing and what is driving and what is it costing you to drive an implant patient, an Invisalign patient, or whatever that might be, whatever you're trying to drive. Recovering lost revenue, AI is amazing at that, and we'll show you how that works. Schedule and service optimization is interesting. I'm gonna talk about that in a later slide. Insurance participation, it's an interesting way of dealing with insurance participation. We don't go deep into RCM, but we know enough from a conversation about what types of challenges are we having in insurance participation and what should we do about that. High value patients is interesting because if we have only so many doctors and there's not we don't have abundance of hygienists running around that we can just hire willy-nilly every day, right? We have a shortage of doctors, we have a shortage of hygienists. So how we triage high value patient becomes very important, right? Because here we're coming in, patients are coming in. How do we create opportunities so that high value patients have the opportunity to come in when they want an appointment? So we look at cancellation and so forth. But the idea behind AI was we didn't want to build AI to show pretty metrics. We wanted to affect things that move the needle, and these things actually move the needle. We've seen a lot of interesting growth. Most of our clients, where the financial impact of AI has been unbelievable, right? We've seen 27% year-over-year growth, 22% year-to-date growth, 30% increase in new patient revenue. These are real numbers, right? These are real numbers. 45 million, and this is one of our largest clients. How did they recover 45 million in revenue? That's a lot of money. And part of what we did is really when we built AI to affect marketing, sales, and ops. The reason I'm putting this out is not as a sales pitch for Patient Prism. It's for you to see the impact AI can make on these various things. 60% reduction in patient acquisition cost. New patient conversion soared 80%. Recovered 44% on second attempt. That is the impact. Impact is real. This is not about, this is what has improved the ability for patients to see these patients. And so it's no longer pie in the sky kind of, oh, let me just say AI is great. We're going to chat GPT our way to heavens. No, it's not. It's actually impacting operations, marketing, and sales. And the key in all of this, as you guys think about AI adoption in dentistry, what you have to think about is first and foremost is, do we understand how the patient traverses to our office and comes back, right? It's called the patient journey. Almost every DSO, which is 95% of our clients, I said here, are dental support organizations. We support very large groups. What we've learned from a lot of these large groups is that they are very intentional about measuring where the patient is and then having all the KPIs associated with each part of the journey. What are the KPIs here? How many leads, my cost per lead, my cost per acquisition, how many phone calls, how many did I schedule, how many did I appointed, how many showed up, how many were diagnosed, how many accepted. And believe me that there is an AI solution that will help you optimize every aspect of this journey, right? We kind of help in here. There's or people like Pearl that help with computer vision. There's folks like Zentist and many other folks that help with RCM. There's patient engagement. There's a lot of things here. And what I suggest you do is figure out, as you think about adopting the first set of AI technology in your business, is think about what is the lowest, it's the stupidest cliche, but I'll say it anyway, lowest hanging fruit. I hate the cliche, but I say it anyway. That you want to see what the lowest is. Where is it that you're and figure out where that is and then adopt that technology. If you're not collecting your revenue, look at RCM technologies. If your case acceptance is super low, look at computer vision. If your marketing needs to be optimized and you need better patient mix, look at patient prism. But I won't go into this crazy marketing speak. But the only thing I'll say this is that if you're engaged in marketing, you have to make sure for all the people that you're driving into this funnel. Today, dental marketing is broken, has been broken for a long time. For every 100 leads that are created, only two patients are sitting in the chairs. So we have to make sure our marketing is better, and we have to hold marketing super accountable. And we kind of help do that, right? One of the things we do provide for our clients is this ability to use AI and say, all right, well, these are the type of patients I want. I want emergencies, I want ortho, I want implants. And then I want to say, by the way, Google Ads drove me 2 implants last month. Is that good, bad, or ugly? Organically, I only got 1 implant lead, right? So when I understand this, right, I don't need to know AI. What I know that I'm a doctor. I went and learned from everybody to how to place implants. I took that course. I want to have more implants, right? I want to place more implants, not because it makes the most money, because that's what I learned, right? And no, when I realized that TV, TV, for example, is bringing me a lot of implant ads and organic's not, I'm going to go back to my marketing agency. I'm like, hey, focus on your SEO, man. I don't know why I'm not showing up on the first page. I'm not getting enough organic leads, or maybe focus on your content. The idea behind AI is not to give you pretty metrics, but or vanity metrics. It's to tell you, what do you want, and is marketing driving that result to you? Okay? So when you look at that, like, oh, well, hygiene, Google Ads is driving a lot of hygiene patients. That's great. Good. I like that because almost all treatment comes out of hygiene, right? But I do need more implants, and I do need more ortho from organic, because it's costing me. I'm in Miami, and it's costing me $1,500 cost per acquisition in Miami in orthodontics. And so that's a lot of cost per acquisition. If I had organic, then I'd be able to bring them at zero cost, right? My cost of acquisition goes down. That's how I think, right? In order for you to build your practices, you have to think like this, because that's what all the big DSOs are thinking, is they want to know exactly where do I spend the money and what will drive the right patient into my office. Question is, Carrie, any question? If you guys have questions, please stop me, because I don't want to be this a demo of Patient Prism. I want you guys to think about the new paradigm of growth, right? Segmentation.
My question would be is, how long does this really take to gather data to where you can actually make projections? So, whenever you implement new marketing, for example, they'll tell you it's 3 to 6 months before you can really start seeing or really determine whether or not something has been successful in some cases. So how long does it take
this
type of AI?
this happens in real time as soon as you connect it.
Okay.
So there's no wait time. This happens in real time. This happens in real time, and you don't have to wait.
So you don't need to have like 6 months of data gathering before you can determine if something is
day one. Day one, you're gonna know day one. Day one, hour number one. You're gonna know, wow, we didn't get in. Well, it may not be statistically significant sample size, but you're gonna know right away. So then you're gonna also understand, let's say you're a multi-location practice, you're not a single location. What kind of leads are we driving into these clinics, right? Well, how many emergencies are coming into Miami? Only one. No? Are emergencies important to us? They are. What should we do about that, right? If Albert Einstein said, right, if I could ask the right question, that's what it is, right? It is all about the question. Dr. Moser, you had a question. You raised.
Yeah, so I love that quote, and I love the other quote that Henry Ford said, if I would have asked the people what they wanted, they would have told me they wanted a faster horse.
Correct.
You know, so
Correct.
so this question somewhat relates to that. If we were to ask the people, the dentists, what they wanted, they would say more new patients, or they would say a laser or a piece of equipment, right? If people aren't milling crowns in their office right now, they're not necessarily behind the curve. You can take an impression and you can send it to the lab and have a crown made. That is not the end of the world. But if you don't jump on this bandwagon, when are you going to be left behind?
Correct. 100% right. And that's what I'm saying, and the good news is somebody asked me a question the other day. I was speaking to a bunch of dentists, like, oh my God, there's so many things. I'm like, for the first time in history, the cost of making a mistake is so small. You're not buying $100,000 cone beam machine, right? You're not, right? All you're spending is a few $100s to figure out what's going on, right? The cost of making a mistake is so small, so don't wait on the sidelines, right? I understand big machinery, lasers, all that stuff, and guided biofilm therapy, all that stuff. Yeah, that costs a lot of money, and I think those are great things. I'm not doubting that, but when it comes to AI adoption, the cost of getting in and out super small, so might as well do it. Uh, great point. I won't go into this stuff. It's a little complicated. But it's really important for you to have AI technology that allows you, that connects with all the Google, Meta, Bing, and gives you information about how much does it cost to drive an Invisalign lead into my phone. Is it costing me $3,000 or $1,500? If it costs $1,500 to drive a lead, then I got to pay $1,500 to align. Then I got to pay $1,500 to doctor, and I have no money left over. So we've got to think about that. And then my CPA hat comes in and saying, man, what's the point of doing this? Let's not do it. Let's not do it. If we're not making any money, we're actually losing money. And then we're not taking on other patients that could potentially give us money. So,
but also, at least from my experience working in the dental business side, where finance and even in HR, we see a lot of this where one subset of numbers doesn't actually equate the whole big picture, that you have to have both the 30,000 foot view and the 5,000 foot view. And I can totally see that there would be some dentists that adopt this type of program and this type of analysis and get super, super granular and super, super stuck on like a day-to-day basis. Oh, this one didn't convert today, or this one cost more today, or so on and so forth. I share that level of neuroses, and so I can really identify with it, of wanting to get super tiny in the weeds here. But where does that need to stop? Where do we need to take a step back and look at the big picture and align it with your strategy overall, not just every single little number causing a heart attack?
and I agree. I mean, I think dentists, one of the incredible things about dentistry I've learned about dentists is they are very much in the weeds, right? Literally and figuratively, both. They're in your mouth, they're in your pockets, in your cavities, everywhere else, right? So they like the detail, and which is nice, right? But at some point, what we want to look at is overall, okay, where are we missing the boat? What kind of patients do we need? Are we doing a good job or not? And it's okay to look at the data. And part of what our job is as technology companies is to not inundate all these guys with tons of data. Just give you these signals, go fix the signals, and not be inundated with that. So let me
Great
see.
question in the chat by actually our other co-founder, Dr. Tarek Ellie, who was our speaker last month and did a great presentation on KPIs. But before we do that, his question's a perfect segue into ops, and I know you want to talk about that as one of your points. I do think that Charles has something else that he wanted to share, or give him just a little bit of minute to talk more about DSA and some things that might be coming up for us.
Yeah, this is clearly a public service announcement. I just want everybody to understand about the Dental Science Alliance that I want you to look at what we do as an investment. It's actually a revenue generator. We have coaches and experts that can save you money and both make you money. So the ROI on being a member of the Dental Science Alliance is probably 3 to 4x of what you're actually going to pay to be a member. One of the questions I get all the time is A, how do you do it so cheap? And B, why do you do it so cheap? And the answer is because our mission is to help dentists. I mean, I'm not opposed to being an entrepreneur. And Amol and I were talking about, making money. That's not, hopefully everybody on this call is interested in doing that. But enough is enough. And we can do it for this fee because it can be done for this fee because we've made it. And we will absolutely 3 to 4x your return on your investment if you come into the Dental Science Alliance. And again, if you want to schedule a complimentary call, just drop me something in the chat. But I really want to get back to Tarek's question because that's a much better question than what I just said.
For those who are listening and not checking the chat, at this rate of AI progress, do you think we'll have a front office without humans running it? All the functions can be replaced very soon at this rate. So I would love to know the answer myself as an HR expert and culture builder. You know, one of the things we talk about in HR when we talk about AI replacing is that we hope that AI supplements their roles and takes things off their plate and gets it to the point where you don't have to have that, 10 years of experience for the insurance coordinator, because that insurance coordination aspect of it, or that operational component, is outsourced or is taken care of by AI, and you can have the humans doing the human thing and the AI doing the heavy lifting. Is that correct? Is that something on trend?
Yeah,
we really see that.
we will. We are in the midst of launching an AI agent that will abstract away 25% of phone calls coming into dental offices, and we're just in the midst of testing it. It's pretty decent. Yes, Tarek, good to hear from you. But yeah, I do believe that by the year 2026, 50 to 70% of phone calls will be answered by AI agents, and they will eventually adjudicate most of those. Appointment confirmations will be done by AI agents. A lot of it could be done, but I think it'll leave humans to then figure out to spend time with the patients. But absolutely, yes, it's coming. Whether we like it or not, the AI agents are gonna make sure that every patient gets answered phone calls, weekends, nights, everywhere else. And our AI, we should have an agent out soon that will start at least looking at after hours and weekends and missed calls, and just looking at that from a patient service standpoint. But yes, I do see a world
2026
where
is a bold claim. Is it really going to be that soon? Are we talking early 2026 or end of 2026?
I think 50% by end of 2026.
Oh my goodness.
I
That's an amazing statistic.
it is going to be that. I think it's going to be that. The pace at which AI is just exploding is mind-boggling even to me when I'm in it all the time. But we will absolutely see that.
And that would be amazing. That's one of the complaints that I'll get from some of my clients, is that like they have their treatment coordinator who's trying to have a conversation with the patient, trying to do the human side of selling the treatment to the patient, and they are getting interrupted because there's phone calls and the front desk is already on the phone and they can't handle the phone calls. And some of these practices, they're so busy, the volume of calls is really taking away from
100%.
doing what they need to do best, what humans do best.
100%. I think we'll still see, this year we'll still see a good amount. It might take a little while for adoption, but um, it will be possible. That doesn't mean it will be all done. It will be possible to abstract 50%. Now, it might be only 20% because of adoption, but just because it's possible doesn't mean it's adopted. The big thing what we started Patient Prism was with the idea that when a patient doesn't book an appointment, what happens, and how do we fix that quickly? This is how we got started like 10 years ago, right? It used to take us 3 hours and Tarek was a client of ours. I remember it took us a long time to analyze it. Now it takes us 20 seconds, right? Patient calls at 9 o'clock, 9:05, the patient hangs up the phone. At 9:06, Patient Prism says, hey, look what happened. We had a patient who wanted dentures, had a Medicare Advantage plan, and this agent was polite, but it would have been beneficial to provide them cost and a payment plan option. So all synthesis, not summarization. There's plenty of summarization tools out there. Synthesis and recommendation and understanding what, why, how. It's an early warning signal, right? There's a lot of things here, right? United Healthcare AARP Medicare Advantage Plan. First point, man, they pay up to $3,000, right? If you didn't know, right? Medicare Advantage plans pay money. So the idea is what our clients started doing when they started receiving these alerts, these early warning signals. There's another one, wisdom teeth removal. Patient was told they need to fill out paperwork before they can do it. Now they're able to understand this alert goes within 20 seconds of a patient hanging up the phone, so that somebody at the office can look at this alert and call the patient back. What we found to our surprise, that 20 to 40% of these patients who were called back on that second attempt decided to come back. And so the ROI started becoming so ridiculously large that all these DSOs with call centers and who are spending a lot of money on marketing, they're like, man, we drove this we drove this wisdom teeth patient at a $300 cost per acquisition, and we lost that. That's lost money. Plus, obviously, we don't want to do that. So all of a sudden, people start implementing this stuff, and they started recovering patients based on this because you knew right away. The AI took literally half a second to understand a 10-minute phone call, and we were able to provide synthesis and recommendation, not summarization, synthesis and recommendation of what should be done next. Remember I said foresight? What should we do now? Well, go call the patient now. That's what you should do now, right? Go recover that $3,300 that you can collect, right? Then we said, okay, well, that's great, but how about using AI to make humans better? Like, who's going to take care of the humans that are answering the phone calls? So we developed this amazing rubric over the first 25 million phone calls and said, what if we were able to use AI to analyze somebody's voice and then attribute that voice to that person? So we know Kara answered the call, Charles answered the call, Summer answered the call, whoever it is, right? And then grade them on the soft skills. As we've learned in dentistry, patients will never know your crown margins. They'll never know, right? How good you are at crown margin. They have no idea, right? Patients have no idea whether you cleaned all 4 quads on an SRP. They have no idea, right? But patients will always remember how you made them feel. And so soft skills are super important, especially when there's a new patient calling who has no idea whether to trust you or not. So we developed this soft skill rubric, and we assigned every agent, this biometric voice fingerprint, so we knew who was answering, and then we graded all these receptionists and agents using this. Did you offer assistant? Did you call the name? Did you offer financing? Did you make a strong effort? And then what we ended up finding out that we could now help people become better versions of themselves. We could facilitate their greatness at the front office, right? And when we did that, eventually people started answering phone calls better, and they started treating people with kindness and compassion and love and without judgment on how they spoke, whatever that might be, how much money they had. And all of a sudden we saw the amount of patients who were booking went up, their show rates went up, and because we're treating them with kindness. And so that was another use case of AI, is these were signals. If I knew Kara took 100 phone calls last month, and I said, Kara, you do such a good job at the beginning of the journey, but you never offer, we have a free consultation for orthodontic, you don't do it. Go do it. Right? All of a sudden we're seeing more orthodontic consults and more starts happening. Eventually, we built some gamification, but here's the big thing, and I don't have a lot of time. I could do this all day, and I've done day-long sessions. One day we'll do that for DSA. But what I realized actually that the reason why patients didn't book had to do 30% of the time, it had to do with the receptionist. About 30% of the time, it had to do with marketing. But 40% of the time, it had to do with your operations, right? And so we started providing data like this. The Tampa office could not schedule 59 patients because you didn't have room on the schedule. Right? Well, is it a marketing problem? No. Is it a sales problem? No. Is it a do you not have enough doctors or hygienists? Yes. So what is it? It's not demand, it's supply. So these early warning signals were completely operational. And Tarek, you're going to appreciate this because you're an operations guy. Now we're able to provide in real time all our clinics the ability to say, where do you need to fix? Is it capacity? Is it insurance? Is it price? And now, or service, there's other categories as well. Now, when we tell people this, they're like, oh my God, I was focusing on the wrong thing. I was just blaming marketing, because marketing is the easiest thing to blame in life because that's what you see. You're spending money on it, right? But what you don't see is this, right? Needle in a haystack. This is a needle in a haystack, right? And AI allows us to understand that. So we look at that. We look at lead time, how far booked out you are. This is a real client of ours, guys. And they had this Tampa office. They were booked out 112 days. And the doctor was like, I'm so busy. I'm booked out 112 days. Well, doctor, I love you, man. This is great. You're a popular guy. But Well, if you don't want to grow, that's fine. You're happy, it's great. Be the Buddha. That's fine. But at the end of the day, if you want to grow, and if you think your patient's going to come in 112 days, they're not. People are dopamine addicts today. As soon as I put my post on Instagram, I'm checking 19 times how many likes I got. Right? That's who I am. And imagine the people are younger than me. They're checking it way too many times. Right? And so we've got to know that in order for show rates to be there, we've got to give it an appointment early on.
And not just for this, one of the reasons I love it, and Charles, I'm sure appreciates this, is that this helps you as a leader give feedback to your team. Because that I have coaching conversations all day, every day with clients who are just not confident giving feedback to their team or not saying, this is what you're doing wrong. And this gives you actual hard data of saying, this is where we have a deficiency, where we need to improve. And the numbers back it up, and there's no reason you shouldn't be able to have that conversation. This helps you lead that conversation, which improves operational efficiency as well.
And this is not opinion, right? It's just math. And math is math, right? I can't say 2 + 2 is always 4, unless you're on some other planet. So then we remember I said we analyze phone agent performance. We use AI to analyze who answered the call. Then we said, okay, what was your score like? Amanda, you scheduled 32 out of 37 patients at 86%. But Yvette, you only scheduled 28 out of 41, right? 68. Well, what can we do to help Yvette? Well, we go back to that rubric and say, Yvette, maybe there's 3 things you can fix here, right? I'm not going to tell Yvette, go take some courses well, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, right? And that's the power of AI, right? I also want to tell Yvette that, by the way, Amanda can schedule a new patient in 7.5 minutes, but you take 16 minutes, right? So you're taking double the amount of time, but you're scheduling at 68% efficiency. So what can we help you with? We can help you with this, right? And so that's part of the training. I won't go through this process. This is one of the things we do a lot is understanding. We developed this feature when doctors used to come and says, Amol, I'm so busy, I don't need anything. Okay, well, that's great. Well, you're busy, but why are you not growing then? Well, you may be the wrong kind of busy. And the analogy, I fly Delta Airlines a lot, as you guys know. I'm in Atlanta, and that's the airline, and I'm on a plane every few days. And if I'm Delta Airlines and I sell all my tickets basic economy, which is, by the toilet at the very end, if all my tickets are super cheap, basic economy, I'm losing billions of dollars a year. So if all your patients are maintenance patients, right? All they're doing is maintenance, which is mostly profit, right? You're not growing at more than 2% a year. So in order for us, we talk in insurance that we need to understand payer mix. We also need to understand our patient mix. Are the right butts sitting in the right chairs at the right time, producing the right amount of revenue for the amount of providers and capabilities we have? And so we're able to provide people like, oh my God, well, you're scheduling in 95%, 85%, 94% Medicaid people when they call, 94% of them schedule. When orthodontic people call you or people who need implants, our schedule rates below 50%. We're not even failing. We're below failing. We're F minus minus, right? And so, okay, well, great. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, I need to have scheduling blocks for these kind of patients. And if the doctor is running 2 columns, I need an imaginary column on number 3. And what do you call them? Ghost columns, whatever they call them. Yeah, I need a column somewhere. I need to put them. I'm not going to say no to somebody. We've had, Charles, several months ago, we had a client in Tampa, actually, it was in Tampa, Clearwater, actually. And the woman called, had just retired, started earning Social Security. Now she had about $2,200 of income per month, which is good. And she could finally afford to get off her dentures and get them fixed and she said, oh, I've learned about this thing, full arch dentures. It was a 4:59 p.m. call. And the receptionist says, could you call us tomorrow? Because we're closing in a minute. Okay, well, wonderful. Okay. But the challenge in that was, if we're not scheduling those people, regardless of whether, and imagine offering that woman an appointment 4 weeks now. Right? The woman actually finally has some money to afford a payment plan, a mortgage on a $50,000 treatment plan, right? And now we're telling her to wait 2 weeks. Is she going to wait? No, she's not. So we've got to understand that. We've got to understand this stuff. One of the things these early warning signals are important at Patient Prism, because what we want to do is ask you what's important to you. High value leads are important to everybody, right? High value leads, people who want to do implants, ortho, anything big stuff, full arch. Emergencies are important. Cancellations are important. They're happening a lot. They might happen a lot this year. It's going to be a weird year, guys. In the next 6 months are going to be super weird with all the tariffs and inflation. Patients and the people are spooked right now with spending more money on discretionary. The airline industry tells you that it's a leading indicator of low starts, right? It's always been that. Lower demand in health airlines leads to lower orthodontic starts. Just weird statistic that I know.
Hey, we've got Southwest that's not even allowing the 2 bags to fly
Get
free.
2 bags for free, right? I mean,
So,
everybody's scrambling, right? The eggs are $1 an egg, actually, in Whole Foods here, $1 an egg. So we are going to see, what we have to do is, if we don't have visibility and we lose opportunities that are calling us, these opportunities are not going to come by again. And that's why I encourage all you guys to figure out where AI needs to be adopted in your organization. And we help with some of this stuff, but maybe you need computer vision, maybe you need revenue cycle management. And obviously we integrate with all the teams. I'm going to stop here because it's 8 minutes left. I've said a lot. I want to answer as many questions as I possibly can. We've now analyzed over 200 million calls. We've been doing this for 10 years. And what I have learned is there's no one silver bullet that's going to make you better and grow you faster. The first thing and the foremost thing you should be doing, even before you do AI, is to really figure out where your leadership is, and figure out, are you showing up as a good leader? If you're a dentist or a hygienist, whoever you are. And part of what I've enjoyed, my friendship with Dr. Mosier over the years has been, he's been talking about leadership for a very long time, and focus on that, and then figure out if you have the right team on the bus, like Jim Collins said, and then figure out where the lowest hanging fruit is. Again, that analogy comes back, the cliche, and then figure out where do we optimize the patient journey. Okay? Is it the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel? But at the same time, none of these technologies matter if you don't have the leadership and the coaching that's needed to get you ready for the next phase of your growth. Because believe it or not, AI is coming next Thursday. It's already come today, right? As John Stewart said. And we want to make sure that you are equipped to face the challenges. 2025 is going to be a challenging year. It'll get better, but there's definitely some upheaval when it comes to softening of patient demand. So make good decisions. Certainly reach out to us if you guys need any help, whether we are the right solution or not. We'll certainly guide you in the right direction. I'll wait for questions if there's any questions you guys have.
I don't see right now, but please, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat or use the Q&A feature, and we will definitely get them answered either live, or we should be able to message you, either one. We can also bring you on as a panelist if you want to just ask the question live. While people are typing questions or thinking about questions they might have, Amal, not to put you on the spot, but this does sound like something that we could literally host like a 2 or 3 hour workshop on how to implement this and put this in your practice. If anybody's interested in a longer version of something like this, we'd love to know about that. If you wouldn't mind dropping a yes or a thumbs up in the chat so that we know what it is you're looking for. If you're also interested in any other specific topics, we'd love to know about that. You can either privately message us or drop it in the chat, put it in the Q&A, either way. We definitely want to know what you want to know, because as we build out the webinar series for the rest of 2025, we want to make sure that we are bringing you information that is valuable for you, that is actionable, immediately implementable in your practice, just like what we do with Dental Science Alliance. These short 30-minute coaching calls that are intended to provide these actionable solutions for you, actionable steps that you can take to be successful. Amal, thank you so very much. I have a couple of yeses to a longer version. So not to put you on the spot or volunteer you for anything, but we may be bringing you back at some point.
Well, thank you. I'll say a couple of parting thoughts. Somebody asked me a question. I was at a studio yesterday in Columbus. What would I tell my younger self, having launched all these businesses over the last few years, and they've all grown 10x. And I've been very fortunate to build these businesses, but they have come with tons of turmoil, tons of shortcomings and failures along the way. And somebody asked me a question, what would I tell my earlier self if I had to do it all over again? And I had to think about that for a few seconds because it was on live camera. And I said I should have sought help faster, earlier in my life. I should have hired a coach earlier in my life. I should have not tried to figure all this myself. And now I'm a stickler for finding mentors and coaches in my life. I have really good mentors. Pat, who runs Heartland, is a close mentor of mine. I get to talk to him every other day, and I just get to learn from him the art of leadership. There's other mentors in my life that I call upon every week and asking them about what am I thinking about this correctly or not. And I wish I had something like Dental Science Alliance early on in my career, because now you don't get one mentor, but you get five, right? And
5 a month.
power.
There's a list of like 20, what are we at, 20, 22, something like that,
You
coach?
get an
Yeah,
advisory
it's crazy.
board. You
Yeah,
get an
you
advisor, you get a board actually. And it's hard. I mean, yeah, I wish I had a board when I started my businesses to ask all the questions and prevent me. And I made every single mistake running all these companies, right? Every single one of them. If you name it, I made that mistake. But if I had a board of advisors, a board of a team of coaches for everything that I was doing, I would have achieved a lot more, a lot faster. So Bill Campbell talks about this trillion dollar coach is it's the most important thing you will do for yourself is get yourself a coach. And I didn't understand that for the longest time because I had the self belief that I can do it myself. And sometimes uh, I tell my kids, maybe you should learn from my mistakes, but they want to make their own, and I understand that. But
Mark has a question. Do either of y'all work with dental specialists? What he's
we
asking.
work with the largest endo group in the country. We work with the largest oral surgery group in the country. We work with the largest orthodontic group in the country. So absolutely, we work with all specialists except prosthodontists. We don't have any prosthodontist clients, but endo, ortho, oral surgery, and all the super GPs.
And I mean, speaking of, I know we have Santosh Patel. Speaking of specialists, that's
There
one
he
of
is.
that is Santosh's specialty is
Man, the
special.
myth, the legend.
What was
Fantastic.
the specific question?
Yeah.
Hey, Amol, great job. I mean, I love the presentation. Love the fact that it's so forward thinking. What resonated the most was 2026. How many of those calls are going to be answered by AI agents? I agree with that. So
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be
yeah,
a lot. We're going to try 50%.
yeah,
We that's our mandate by 2026. Patient Prism should be able to do
right.
that. Um, but again, it's scary and not scary at the same time.
Sure,
Uh,
sure, absolutely.
but specialty is going to be interesting, right? I think there's so much demand for specialty, and it's so hard to execute it. And love the work you've done in the space, man.
I
It's
appreciate it.
fascinating.
Thank you.
If you're on this call, if you would mind, we're going to bring everyone on the screen to take a quick picture. So if you can come on and get on your and get on camera, we would love to have you on the picture. So,
Yeah, I would love a picture of
Kara,
you guys. Come on
I'm
in.
working
how do
on
we
it.
do
Come on
that?
in.
I'm
Let's get
working
some
on it.
pictures.
It's hang on,
Kara,
everybody. It's a slow process, but please stick around. Let's take a picture.
stick around,
So,
take a time. All
Amal,
about
my question is, I'm sure again, there's a lot of people out here that are very scared of this. Okay, so how does somebody do it with a life preserver on? Where do they start? Where's the easiest place to start to get comfortable with this whole thing where you can tell people I'm using AI? Where's the safest place?
I don't know. I think we're going to see some laws come out to kind of address some of that stuff. Right now, it's easy to figure out. I'm talking to an AI agent, including our own. I personally, I'm not a big fan yet of our AI for the agent. I'm not a big fan yet. I think I will become a fan one day. I'm hopeful, but we're going to make a lot of mistakes as we build it to make sure the experience is good. But yeah, I mean, I
And,
don't know. I don't know. It's
and,
going to have to be laws.
and Charles, is your question also how do you get adoption from team members who maybe are not as familiar and as comfortable with AI? We had to dive in a little bit with that with our own existing teams. We actually went through an exercise where we had each one of our team members, download and that OpenAI ChatGPT app, and then just put in there 10 things that are in their refrigerator and that they want a dinner prepared.
What?
It'll take less than 30 minutes. And just that simple exercise of somebody going through and realizing, well, this is not intimidating, this is not overwhelming. And then they start asking additional things. Well, okay, well, what if I had this ingredient, or what if I had this protein, right? It changes up some of the meal, and just going through that iteration of, it's not as overwhelming as it may sound, right, for folks who've never used it. But I think it has to start there, right, at the team level, is get them comfortable with the basic concepts of AI and then understand how that stacks accordingly.
Yeah.
But really, adoption is, I think, just getting their hands, a little bit dirty and then seeing how it works.
I love that question because HR here, a lot of times I will see this done very, very poorly and in a way that gets the practice in trouble for age discrimination, which starts at 40 at the federal level. And your state may have something that's different than that, but it starts at 40 at the federal level. And so if you've got your team members who are resistant, are they resistant because they have an attitude and they just don't want to do it, or do they need a little more training and they don't feel confident in it? And so making sure you're not doing like a one-time training and then starting to write people up for it. And I say that as an example because yes, that's happened in the last 3 months.
Quick photo. So on the count of 3, everybody say cheese. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Awesome. Brad, I know you have to take off. Great to see you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you,
for joining,
all. I really appreciate it.
Don't forget me on. Oh, we have babies.
Thank you all
the
for
baby,
believing.
the baby is all. Baby has no teeth yet, but it's gonna be an amazing. Well, she doesn't have
there's
to worry about flossing.
Caitlin.
She's the only one that doesn't have to worry about flossing tonight. So happy flossing, guys. See you
Right.
later. Bye.
If you have an
Amol, thank you so
agent-
much.
Bye.
Very much appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all for being here. Appreciate y'all very much. Anything we can do to help, please let us know. Please reach out and let us know. We'd love to help.
Amol,
Bye-bye.
Mark, also real quick, if you'll work with Perio.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Can we
Yeah,
have your
so,
email for like reaching out to you?
Yes,
Yeah,
and your
could
you drop your LinkedIn and email.
Just
I dropped my LinkedIn because I work with a dental office. I just I'm like the IT support and everything. I used to be a VC, but I'm trying to help them organize the IT because I used to be an engineer before. So
we
we
need
have
more
Patient
engineers.
Prism integrated into our systems with Mango. So we already have that, but I'm trying to learn more and help enhance the AI part of the business.
Fantastic. Well, anything we can do. Yeah, it's my LinkedIn profile. I shared my email address.
Thank you so much.
Anything you guys need, I'm here. And thank you again. This is fantastic. I love doing these webinars. What a great event this has been. And I'm so excited about Dental Science Alliance. I think it's going to be an organization that's going to make a major impact on this industry, and can't wait to see it.
Thanks,
Well, we
Amol.
thank you for being here. That was a lot of information in a short
It
period.
sure
of time.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to do like
Thank you,
workshops
guys.
or
Thank you,
something.
guys.
Thank you,
See
guys.
y'all.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.